I want people to understand that we are heading into a situation or an economy that is going to be worse than the Great Depression. Along with laying off federal employees, we are also they are also laying off federal contractors. So whenever you see the federal employee number, times it by two of contractors that work for the federal government as well that are also losing their jobs. Um, I, I honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. I just know that with this is going to be the biggest layoff by an employer in our entire history. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going to be one of the biggest layoffs ever to occur.
You're wrong. And this is a lot of times. Listen, I understand the sentiment. I understand the scariness, especially among women. But there has been much bigger layoffs in our lifetime in the economy. Anybody that lived and was actually an adult, and when I say an adult, you're above the age of 25 years old during the 2008 housing market crash. And maybe it was just because I'm from Detroit, and Detroit was one of the hardest hit cities in the United States of America. I remember when we actually went to Vegas. I went to Vegas um, around a little bit after that time, or around that same time after that, and it was just like Vegas, Nevada was also one of the hardest hit. And this is one of the things I teach inside of the Patreon, and I give this game a lot of times, and I let the people know when I say, hey, what you don't understand is the things that we invest in are not things hospitality related, and we go over the stocks, the stock club, and things like that, because the first thing that's hit, or the first thing that then um, is affected when people's money is messed up, is anything related to hospitality, travel, hotels, all of that stuff. 2008 was, listen, it was demons running around in 2008. I seen people, and I tell people this all the time, I seen people fighting over the, how the Statue of Liberty thing, or the flower, the people that be selling flowers and stuff, or the tax time, and they be having them little costume. I seen people fighting over the flower suit, bro. The flower suit. People were applying for jobs for the flower suit. To get a job at something like a Panera was like, oh man, you got income coming in. I seen more consolidation of households. It was almost like we never learned our lesson. But I'm gonna break it down. That's all, but I'm gonna break it down as we go through. And I always like to give credit to the content creators, so that link will be down in the description, regardless of whether I agree with them or not. And Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Let's get it.
If private industry can see that they can get away with doing this in the federal government, this is going to happen in the private sector as well. There are going to be so many people without jobs, and there are going to be no jobs for anyone. And this is where AI comes in. This is so bad, y'all. I don't even know what to say, because so many people are going to lose their livelihoods. And with all of these jobs being lost, this is going to impact financial institutions. This is going to impact restaurants. This is going to impact clothing stores. Everybody is going to be impacted by this. This doesn't stop at federal employees and federal contractors and people that do services for the federal government. It doesn't stop there. This is going to trickle down to the very last person on the totem pole.
All right, so let me give y'all a little bit of education when it comes to finances. I don't really talk about it as deep on this channel because we have a whole channel that's dedicated to it that we go over Monday through Friday, the Millionaire Morning Show, and we drop clips on the weekend. But what you've been experiencing over the last 4 years is a false narrative that's been perpetuated by the Biden administration when it comes to the amount of jobs that the economy was supporting. And when I say the economy, I'm talking about a natural economy, capitalistic economy, meaning that money is naturally circulating throughout the economy in the United States of America. And people are spending money, people are making money, people are creating jobs naturally, instead of it being artificially propped up by the federal government. And so what you've seen in these jobs reports a lot of times is they will say, oh man, we gained in all of these jobs. And then a month later, they would adjust it down when it wasn't as popular for the people to look at and say, actually, we only created this many private sector jobs. But if you looked at the jobs report, a lot of times, most of them was coming from the federal government, meaning that the American taxpayers were really paying for a service that they wasn't getting, because most people that work for the federal government, as you see with USAID and stuff like that, they were not adding value. And so the taxpayers were basically paying for other people to feel like they have jobs that are worth something, and they were artificially propping up the economy. The reality is that they were overtaxing large corporations. They were pushing people out. They were pushing citizens out of the United States of America, and the only people that were getting rich during the Biden administration was the richest and the people that were finessing. So what you see right now is what should have probably happened 20 years ago. We're right-sizing the government, meaning this actually happened during the Clinton administration. Wasn't as big, wasn't as deep. They actually created a task force to go and strip down all of the things that we didn't need, and root out the fraud. Because over time, the federal government grows and grows, and we never get rid of some of these departments. But most of our monies were going to places that were basically defrauded. The U.S. Treasury, as Elon Musk is documenting and indicating, was sending out payments, billions and trillions of dollars, to things that we didn't even authorize. We don't even know where it was going. We can't even find it. And hopefully they find these bad actors. But this is the way that you really should have been operating in the federal government. They should have been creating jobs naturally, meaning that we should have been incentivizing businesses to invest inside of the United States of America instead of pushing capital outside of the United States. And that's what Trump is doing. It's a two-headed monster, right? You have right-sizing of the government by us rooting out all of the stuff that's not supposed to be here, forcing people to come back into the office and also participate in society, which that then spurs economic activity in our cities, and it gets people to going out, restaurants, games, buying clothes, doing things, public transportation, going to the gas station, buying snacks, all of these things, right? It stimulates the economy. And then on top of that, you incentivize when you get rid of all of the old jobs, and we also get rid of all of the illegal migrants that are doing the AKA jobs that you don't want to do. And that's what then continues to push up inflation and makes things unaffordable and have less availability of homes and things. What you then will see is when you push economic activity out to the private sector and inspire people to build up their own businesses, build up their own communities, all of that type of stuff, people don't really understand the history of America. What incentivized people to grow was you had this guy over here and he ran the meat shop. And this guy over here, he was a clothier. And this guy over here, he worked for the bank. And this guy over here, he was a lawn care guy. And these guys over here, they were construction guys and all of this stuff. And so you had more economic activity within cities, which then allowed for them to grow, which was supported by bigger industries that came in and invested in the United States of America. So what we needed was more private sector jobs. And when she mentions AI, AI is not here to replace people. AI is here to fast track what we were already doing. So let's say, for example, I have AI, or we leverage AI in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different capacities in our company, whether it be using it for thumbnails or fast tracking, putting together presentations and things like that. We don't get rid of people because we got AI. We increase our productivity within our company because it allows for us to create better, more faster. And so then that means that we can invest more money in bringing in people to create other jobs that can add value into what we're doing. Because AI, again, is not there to replace people. AI is there to make you more money. And so this is the mentality that people have to have. And instead of us saying, okay, you know what, we need to invest in AI machine learning as far as the different type of degrees, or we need more of this, we need more of that. People that, oh my God, they're going to replace us. No, it's going to be different jobs for people that are productive. People still need to eat. People still need to walk. People still need to do this. If you fill a void and you create a service, and hopefully we don't have any more of these propped up diversity, equity, and inclusion jobs, that would then put us in a position where we will be stronger economically and not using taxpayer money to artificially prop up the economy and pretend like we're actually creating jobs, when in reality, we just got a whole bunch of people doing nothing and getting tax money and running up the federal deficit. We need to be operating as surplus, making sure people build or create jobs, and incentivize small businesses to continue to thrive and continue to push forward. But unless we do that, then we're going to fall further behind, and then our kids are going to be the ones that pay for the sins of their parents. That's what's really happening. Let me let her cook, and then we're going to come back at the end and see if she got anything good to say.
And we are on the brink of an economic collapse, a total collapse. I don't know what else I can say for people to kind of understand what's happening, but the federal government does so much and helps so many areas by way of grants and, other means of funding, and that's no longer going to be here, along with them cutting off Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
A lot of these people are just talking. Nobody's cutting off Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Listen, y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, teach Henley 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. I'm going to holler at y'all later.